Hello everyone and welcome to Croydon Conversations, a programme of informal chats with influential people in Croydon brought to you by Develop Croydon. Today we're joined by Ben Craig, who's the programme sponsor at Network Rail for the Brighton Main Line improvements around East Croydon Station, and we're going to have a chat with Ben about his views about the borough and the updates on the East Croydon Main Line plans. So welcome Ben, hello, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, buddy. So back to working from home after a brief stint in the office that was exciting, but over now.
And it'd be good if you could give us a sort of quick update on overview of the progress and the plans for East Croydon at the moment. What have we got to look forward to? How are they progressing?
Yeah, thanks, buddy. Well, so as you are probably aware, the public consultation that we've just run has completed. So completed last week, huge interest. So I'm just looking at the figures on my screen at the moment. We had 32,000 views of the website, and 1,400 people have kindly taken the time to fill in the surveys we've done in this stage of public consultation. Overall advocacy rate of 92%. So that still puts us in sort of a good place to move forward. Public consultation, really disappointed obviously that we couldn't do the face-to-face event that we would have liked to have done in Croydon. We had a whole load of material all ready to go, and we'd done it all in the local church halls and stuff. Obviously, but the time was not there, available at this point in the pandemic. So there's a lot of work going on in that public consultation space at the moment that is just drawn to a close. So yeah, in terms of what we're proposing, you can see it for yourself. It's on our website. The current iteration of the design, sort of major improvements to the railway through central Croydon. The Croydon bottleneck, we call it, probably the worst remaining operational bottleneck on the UK rail network. 1,700 trains a day, 300 passengers a day in normal times, not at the moment. But we do think they will come back going forward when we have a vaccine. So the proposal is, as I'm sure you're aware, the expansion of East Croydon Station from 6 to 8 platforms, but also what we call grade separation of junctions in the Sellers Triangle. Probably some lesser known points, sort of major improvements to Norwood Junction Station involving step-free access to all the platforms there, and to increase the capability of the railway in that area. Also some improvement to the West Croydon lines, because they're often the sort of forgotten bit of railway. But the West Croydon lines also proposing to upgrade. And around East Croydon Station, not consulting on this at this point in time, but there's lots of opportunities for property development and the like, and I'm sure everyone's very excited and aware of that as well.
Great. I guess on the consultation is quite an interesting point, because that's obviously been something you had to change quite dramatically because of the pandemic. And I guess, do you think you've had a different response to what you would have expected, having to conduct the consultation virtually? Has it been better, worse? Different people engaged potentially? Would you look at using a virtual platform more going forward?
Well, it's hard to answer that question because we'll never know. But we've always found that a large number of people do engage through the online process in addition to the traditional face-to-face events. I guess it does tend to be a slightly different demographic for who look at the online, to those who like to turn up and ask the questions. We did also have a sort of an online chat facility for those who do like to ask the questions, which was probably not as well used as we'd have liked, but it was well used, and I think those who did use it got a lot of value from actually being able to talk to a human being. I personally think it would be great to be able to do the actual sort of real world events and talk to people again, rather than just put it on our website and let people interact with it digitally. I think the new world has some advantages, but I'm not sure lack of human contact will ever be one of them.
No. Yeah, that seems like a thing that hopefully we can get back to at some point. And yeah, it's definitely nice to be talking to somebody in person about things that affect them, asking the questions in person, and yeah, making it feel like it's a bit more of a human behind the scheme rather than it being imposed or delivered by an organisation that doesn't have a face. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, one of the other exciting things we've been doing over the last couple of years really is we've become quite a major landowner in central Croydon. So
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, so we're very pleased to acquire the Porter and Sauter Public House just a few weeks ago. That is obviously a really important site for us in terms of being able to build the station from that site in combination with the former Royal Mail building. Also a significant development opportunity going forward, and hopefully the acquisition of the Porter and Sauter actually also enables us to, in the shorter term, demolish the Royal Mail building because the interfaces between those two buildings. So we're looking at that now in terms of how to make that best work, and whether there's meantime use of that.
What might be the timescale on the removal of the Royal Mail building? Though obviously a sort of a thing everybody sees as they come into Croydon. So
yeah, I couldn't tell you the timescale at the moment. We've got people designing the scaffolding. That's the current stage. So it will be a function of that, and associated things like there'll be impact on some of the sort of local streets while we do it, and we need to work those things through. But hopefully within the next year or so.
Nice, that sounds good. And in terms of the Porter and Sauter, is that just something that enables you to do the works around it? Have you got any plans for that site? Any ideas?
I mean, it would be part of the construction site for the station. So
okay.
It's
no immediate removal of the pub or anything.
No, it would. It is. I mean, it is linked to the demolition of the Royal Mail building at some future point, but not.
Good. So I guess more generally in terms of Croydon, obviously, we've talked about the fact that the East Croydon is actually a really difficult place for transport connections because of the bottleneck, but equally Croydon has some really great connections into London, into central London, out to Brighton. So obviously it is a well-connected place, but the plans are to improve that still further. I guess in terms of Network Rail's plans, have they been slowed or delayed, or do you think they'll have been pushed back because of what's happened recently in terms of numbers, or what are your sort of thoughts or views?
I think I would be speculating to answer that question really. So the upgrade to the Brighton Main Line, it's designed as a sort of long-term scheme. It's to cope with the the population of sort of 20-30 years time. And long-term investment is always important to plan regardless of what is happening in the short term. So we feel that there's a good long-term case for infrastructure generally, not just sort of rail in Croydon, but there's the infrastructure generally is something that is often sort of treated as a good thing to invest in when you've got short-term problems. And the capacity upgrade to the Brighton Main Line Railway is an example of that. But it's obviously always very difficult when you've got short-term problems to sort of to get that sort of long-term strategic thinking. And
well, it is a great opportunity for Croydon, so very excited about maximising the benefits for the borough. So in terms of the recent pandemic, obviously there might be some questions at the moment around, will there still be such a need for as much transport infrastructure if people aren't looking to travel into the city as much, or things like that? Have you had any notice on that or questions on that in your consultations? What are your thoughts?
I mean, certainly the pandemic is forefront of everyone's minds at the moment, and as I'm sure you're aware, the rail industry, like anyone involved in transport or many other industries, has really suffered with income. During the sort of the bleak days of sort of April, we were down to about 4% of the normal passengers. That's now recovered to around a third of normal passengers. We're probably a bit of a plateau at best at the moment because of the numbers resurging, as it were. But I mean, we do need to look longer term. So, I mean, if you look at the roads, what we're seeing at the moment is almost a sort of road-based recovery, and public transport numbers are down. Yeah, that's got to be a temporary thing. We've got to get people out of cars again and onto public transport, because otherwise we're going to be severely congested in the future, and we're not going to meet our obligations as a society to climate change. So we really need to get people back onto public transport at the earliest opportunity in a safe manner once this short-term problem is behind us, and it will be behind us. There will be a solution. It's just that it's taking longer than everyone would have liked, but long-term infrastructure, it will be behind when we built the new East Croydon station.
Yeah, I think the sustainability is a really good point, and that's obviously something we're going to be talking about at the Develop Croydon conference, and a big focus for the Borough Council at the moment. So, and I guess more widely in terms of the benefits for the borough, your thoughts about Croydon, what next, what the bright lights are for the future, what Croydon might need to continue growing and improving. Have you got any views on what the most important things will be in driving its future growth?
Well, obviously I'm going to say.
Or is it just one obvious one?
So I mean, the upgrade the railway has a number of reasons why Croydon would benefit from it. First is obviously the upgrade to the railway is used by the people of Croydon. I think that's all a fairly obvious thing. But the other one is actually probably a more subtle point, is that while we're doing the upgrade to the railway at Croydon, we would be employing a very sizable workforce, and that workforce would be located in Croydon. So I don't have a specific number, but the huge amount of construction jobs that we would be putting into central Croydon while we did the work. And the supply chain and the specialist skills in sort of things like engineering and sort of logistics while we're doing the work is actually pretty huge. So that temporary state is in many ways as important for Croydon as the permanent state.
Yeah. It's very exciting. Obviously, Croydon's got a good strength in engineering companies. It's one of our core sectors, and obviously all the construction that's going on already in Croydon should give you a good baseline for your future workforce. So
and the rail industry supply chain, the Croydon has a fantastic history for the rail industry. That many of our suppliers have historically been based in Croydon, and that's actually quite helpful, because it means that some of the supply chain bidding for the work, as it were, are actually familiar with the geography of the scheme that they're involved in.
Yeah, that definitely helps. So what are the next steps? You've obviously just had your consultation, so what happens now? Are you looking at purchasing more land? Obviously the demolition is one of the next potential key milestones, but next consultations, next funding steps?
So the next step is really around optimizing the proposal going forward. So what we've got a sort of a few bits and pieces that we're not comfortable with. So we're not comfortable with some of the sort of the points that people have raised through the public consultation. So the interchange between sort of bus, taxi, tram and the station platforms, for example. So we're working on optimizing that in conjunction with London Borough of Croydon at the moment. Also the timescale of building the scheme. So we have a completion timeline of 2033 in the consultation at the moment. That's not to say that people would need to wait till 2033 to achieve all the benefits, because there are intermediate stage points, but we're looking at how we can improve on that and how we can bring the cost down. So it's very much around sort of further development of the scheme to give it its best shot. That's the immediate stage, and then the slightly longer term is very much around where the money is going to come from, because that does remain unknown at this point in time.
Yeah. Okay, and I guess a couple of final questions. A bit more anecdotal, your thoughts in terms of, obviously you've been working in Croydon for quite a long time now, being quite involved in the stakeholders and in the businesses and seeing what's been happening in Croydon. So what do you think the main reason that you would give somebody to tell them that they should be investing or developing or considering looking at Croydon? What do you think its best selling points are at the moment?
I think it's a combination of the skills that people have in Croydon. So yeah, you've touched on that through the some of the sort of engineering side, but there's a huge amount of other skills that, so I think Croydon's got a great creative history, for example, and the cultural sector of the box park and associated things. So there's a huge amount going on in Croydon. In terms of the people, obviously we think that the infrastructure is terrific, but needs to be improved. So the railway connections to London, Gatwick, South Coast, Tramlink, etc. Huge. Compare it to lots of other places of similar distance from London. It's really quite stand out. And then there's just the opportunity of the sheer amount of stuff still to come, whether that's in rail transport or shopping infrastructure or housing.
Yeah, lots going on, lots in progress. Thank you so much for joining us, Ben. It was really good to hear your views and an update about East Croydon. Obviously really excited to see how those plans carry on developing, and information about that I'm sure will be shared by you to us through the Develop Croydon channels. And yeah, we'll look forward to even better transport infrastructure in Croydon going forward.
Thank you, Bonnie. Pleasure.